stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.
And we are discussing immigration policies and immigration policy changes. So we are most fortunate to have him come here from Brooks County. And many of you know Dr. Vickers, who has been here to speak with us before, and the people with Texas Border Volunteers. And so he is familiar with all of those groups. And he is going to come tonight and give us a briefing on exactly what is happening along the Texas border. And as I've mentioned to you many times before, this is not a situation that is solely oriented toward Mexico or Central America, because people are coming here from all over the world. Some of them because of opportunity, and some of them because they have other intentions. So would you please now join me in welcoming Deputy Martinez. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for, on behalf of Sheriff Ray Rodriguez, the staff in Brooks County, thank you all for the invite. It's going to be interesting for all of us. I hope you all enjoy the presentation. Everything that I visited about today happens in Brooks County. We're approximately 70 miles up north of the river. Brooks County is adjacent to Hidalgo County, Willacy County, Kennedy County, Cameron County, and Starr County, and Jim Hall County, and then Zapata. Those counties are border counties. Brooks County is not a border county. And after we get done with this presentation, you're probably going to wonder why we're not a border county. We are about 943 square miles. Most of our terrain, it's good vegetation, good concealment. The terrain itself, though, is sandy. It's kind of like being out on the beach. There are actually sand dunes in Brooks County. Prior to Brooks County creating itself as Brooks County in 1911, it actually belonged to Starr County, which is an adjacent county. And Captain Brooks from the Ranger Service showed up, I guess, in Brooks County and decided to create Brooks County. And back then, the Rangers were very powerful, as you all well know. So Brooks County was created. What we have here is the major roadway consists of Highway 281. It's a major corridor. That corridor carries, for instance, southbound, it carries currency, it carries weapons, it carries anything else that has to do with illegal trafficking going southbound. This is the train route that goes through Mexico, that travels through Texas. Basically what it is that once they reach the McAllen, West Loco, Brownsville area, all that border that everyone's claiming that's secure, they come across and they continue into Brooks County, and it filters right here in y'all's backyard in Harris County. I don't think Sheriff Garcia's here, right? Okay, I can talk about it. So, this here is a video, and I'll speak as the video goes on. We captured this person that has this video. What he did, he recorded his own journey from Guatemala all the way into the States. And he's recording it as he's traveling. This is just maybe a 90-second or so portion of the video. This is not a TV camera. This is actually a person that's recording it through his telephone. What he did, he handed the telephone to us and asked us if we can do something to assist those responsible for all this, which would be the brush guides, to be politically correct. Some of you know them as coyotes. Because what he's saying was that the journey itself is long and it's very dangerous. And as they travel through various countries, they had to get calloused because of the crime that they come across. The cartels that has taken some into custody, and some of those are just killed or held for ransom, or both. So So, now as we go on to this video, anytime you have any questions, please interact and ask a question. I prefer y'all to just interact real quickly and we can handle the question as quickly as possible. This is a train, just maybe 100 people or so. And this is not this is a real thing. This was filmed by one of the persons that was traveling on the train.
What's the location here?
This location here is going to be between the country of Guatemala and, actually that's the gentleman right there that's recording, that's doing the recording. He's the one that got apprehended when he was in Bush County. It turned up.
Is this a Mexican train or is this a?
It's from Central America.
It's just a train from South and Central America.
Okay.
So they run through all the
Through all
countries.
the countries.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So the governments and the borders just let them be on top of the train and not ask them for ticket? Do they pay for the ride?
No,
Or they just?
If they pay anything, it's probably to the conductor, but yeah, they're pretty much at liberty, at free to ride the train. Yes, ma'am.
It appears there's no accommodations here, so is every man for himself with food, water, and restroom?
Every man, every woman, every child for themselves.
Okay.
Okay, hit that.
You want to set it up? Like, tell them what it is?
Okay, this here, I believe this here is the first stage where they're going to be housed. As you can see, there's bunk beds, and he's recording this again. It's one of the stages out the train, and that's what he's recording.
Does the train ever stop, or do they just go day after day after day on this train?
They just stay on the train, man. Train doesn't stop. So whatever necessities they have to do, they take care of it and go on about the business. It's very dangerous, actually, this train.
How long is the trip?
I believe they claim days, maybe 3 or 4 days. I know by the time they get to us, they're already on the eighth day. Those are the ones that we catch. Those that get lost are probably on the 30th day.
Percentage of women, Deputy?
I would say maybe 40, maybe more. And we see an increase on ladies that are pregnant in the U.S. And you know why? They're just trying to give birth to the child in the U.S. soil. And that occurrence is going up also. This is the route again. If you see the can you hit that highlight? Right there, we see the number 2. Right in there, that's where Brooks County is at. Right in that area. As you see, everything just impacts through there. We have a checkpoint. So what they'll do, they'll circumvent the checkpoint. The checkpoint is located about 65 miles from the river, or 17 miles south of town. So they'll filter around the brush area. Now they're being told it's a quick walk. It kind of is, but it ain't. Because I guess within maybe 8 to 10 miles east and west of the checkpoint, they have sensors. So once they hit those sensors, the Border Patrol is going to start checking up on them. And we get large groups out here. We're talking about groups of 70 at a time. So if you go to the mall and you see 70 people, that's what's going through that brush at what time. And you'll see a video in reference to that. This is a picture, and it's not the measles. These are the dead bodies in Brooks County. Every single one of those things up there, it's a dead body. This is because what they do, they go around the checkpoint, and once what happens when the Border Patrol goes out there, they'll have a unit, and they'll have maybe 2 or 3 people, I'm talking about agents, 2 or 3 agents, to try to secure 20 to 25 people. Okay, you're looking at 6 hands trying to get 20 people. It just really doesn't make sense. So what happens, all they do is disperse like quail. You'll see if you guys go hunting quail, they go every direction. This is what happens. The only sole person that knows the route is going to be the brush guide. And he's not gonna give up his rod because that's his bread and butter. That's how he makes his money. So either you stay on, you're not supposed to get sick, you're not supposed to get a bad ankle, you're not supposed to get blisters, because you're gonna get left behind. As a result of getting left behind, this is what we're up against right here. And we're looking at about almost $2,500 a body. That's totally on Brooks County alone. And that's been the battle that we've been fighting with the other assistants and trying to get the federal government to step up and assist us on the funding. Especially, it's just specifically for this.
And how many is that? How many? And over what period of time, the whole?
This is from 09 to 2013. Mark, hit the next one. I think I have a scale right there.
Yeah, are the coyotes killing these people when they fall behind, or?
No, well, I guess technically you can say that they fall under the criminal negligence part because they're being left behind knowing that they're either sick and they're going to be left out there to fend for themselves, knowing very well that they can't do it. It'd be just like us having an accident, the person gets hurt and we leave him there knowing that he needs treatment, medical attention. Back 3 months ago, I had a lady from Maryland that got struck as she was crossing 281. And within the group, she got struck by a truck tractor. The coyote himself saw it happen. There were 5 miles from the checkpoint, which means we could have rendered assistance within 5 minutes. He didn't call until he got to Maryland. And I'm talking about the state of Maryland. The sister shows up at our office 5 days later, wanted to know about the other sister that got struck. I said, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, she got struck. I said, well, let's go find out. Well, sure enough, she was already bloated. And it's very frustrating for myself and the officers when all I had to do was call, but they're trained not to call. The coyote tells them don't call law enforcement until we'll tell you when to call. We know where you live, we know who your relatives are, and they're going to get hurt. So there's nothing I can say to this lady, but I really got upset with her, to be honest with you. I didn't take no pity on what happened, because it should never happen. They should have called. This is a lady that got struck and got left there like a distracted dog, so to speak. And I'm sure she was alive. According to the autopsy, she was alive. She died there on the side of the road. And at that time, we had a lot of moisture, so the grass was tall, so we couldn't find her. We actually had to walk the edge of the roadway, and we finally found her. She wasn't more than 5 feet away from Highway 281, a major highway. And the agent says, well, I just drove by here. I drove by here 3 times yesterday. Well, they weren't looking for the body, not that close to their checkpoint. So it's frustrating. We run through these type of scenarios all the time. I didn't bring no pictures because there was just those pictures of 2 road crosses. It's not suitable. And I don't know how many these are, so whatever amount it was. These are just pictures we took together from all the bodies that we picked up. Now, we're very grateful for Baylor University. They took the initiative, they took the lead on exhuming 63 bodies that needed to be analyzed for DNA purposes, for identification purposes. Baylor University, Indiana University showed up back in May in Brooks County. All the students, and the professors showed up on their own dime, paid their own trip, paid their own room to come down and exhume bodies in 110-degree weather we were having that week in Brooks County. So what I did, I provided a travel trailer that we seized off of a bad guy, and we hooked it up, and so they had air conditioning. They would take maybe 30-minute breaks, and they exhumed 63 bodies. And then into the picture came Texas State, because they have what we refer to as a body farm. That's where they're keeping the bodies now. We ran out of burial space for these undocumented walkers. And then North Texas State is also providing the equipment and also doing testing. So we have bodies throughout all these universities getting DNA processed. And through North Texas, we're allowing now each respective consulate to do swabbing of family members that are missing loved ones. And then they'll furnish them over to North Texas, and then we'll process them to get DNA. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
When you first find the bodies, what do you do with them? Do you bury them immediately, or what's the process when you find the body?
The process is we treat it as it would be a crime scene. Because if that body's out there long enough, there's going to be missing limbs.
From the animals?
From the animals. The animals will tear those limbs apart. So we'll search around the area, maybe a 500 meter, 800 meter area, all the way around. And we gather, we gather scalps, hair, we gather toes, we gather arms and legs, and you name it, we have gathered. And it goes directly to the medical examiner in Laredo, Texas. Dr. Stern. She's the one in charge of it now, so she handles that for us. Now, in touching this, through the assistance of the Lieutenant Governor, which is Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst currently, he provided $152,000 to specifically just handle this. Of course, it's just kind of like, it's just a real short-term monies that he provided for us. So we have to reapply and get some more monies. You have to understand at $2,500 a pop, it's rather expensive. In fact, I think we're running probably like 200,000 plus a year just on taking care of bodies. Anyway, this is me right there, just in case y'all are wondering. I'm with Dr. Baker from Baylor. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To finish though, once Laredo gets the body, then what happens?
Okay. The body remains here, and we're working through the consulates, which would be the Honduras consulate, Guatemala, or El Salvador, Mexican. We try to get them identified as soon as possible. If that doesn't happen within 90 days, it'll go to Texas State, and they'll remain there. The body itself. The DNA will be shipped over to North Texas, and that DNA will stay there.
When do they bury the body? At what point?
They don't bury them. They keep them at the body farm.
But that's new because you have been burying them.
That is new, yes ma'am, because that's why back in May when they showed up, we had to exhume those bodies to do the DNA, and then the procedure started since May. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
How many OTMs do you run across in the process of accumulating these corpses? I mean, how many other than Mexicans do you find, like Middle Easterns?
Actually, it's up on the uprise. I know we have had over 2,500 of them in the last maybe 12 months or so. Now, what happens is that if we're not there exactly to get our hands on them, Border Patrol is very protective of what they work on, and it's very hard to get the information from them for some reason. It's just, I guess that's the way they operate. They're not as transparent as we are, so they always get excited about what I say and what I do. They're not as transparent as we are.
Right.
Yes.
Are
So,
you saying they get upset though? Is that what you just said?
well, they just get the feelings for it, I guess, I don't know.
Who funds, is that the state of Texas or at the federal government level? The Border Patrol?
Federal level.
Under Department of Homeland Security now, Customs and Border Protection.
Yes. That was created after 9/11. Now, this year, it's up there because we've had that much increase in girls getting raped out in the brush. And I'm talking about 15, 16, 17-year-olds that come through the brush. A lot of these that are filtering in already have jobs. At least everyone that I have interviewed already have jobs coming into the States. They're either coming to Houston to work, going up to Washington to work, or filtering over to Colorado to work, or Los Angeles,
Washington State or DC?
DC,
DC.
right there, right next to the White House. So they're filtering right through the county and going right up to all these, they impact the whole United States. And it all filters right through Brooks County. Yes, sir.
Sir, what kind of jobs do they think they're getting?
From cooks to dishwashers to lawn operators to motel maids to actually a lot of the females that are coming through that are young, those are being kept because they have more value by the criminal to be utilized as prostitutes. And since they don't know any better, they're because everything is removed from them when they're coming across. They take all their identifications away from them. So they're told that you haven't paid or you owe more or for whatever excuse they give, they will give these girls, and they keep them. And that also happens not only in Harris County, but it happens in Brooks County as far as extortion cases. And in Brooks County alone, we identified 15 stash houses where we have extracted people from them. A good case, we extracted 20 from a house. There were locals, and I mean U.S. citizens from Brooks County. The case was adopted by the ICE office out of Corpus and went before the federal judge, and it was thrown out of court because it was a knock and talk. A knock and talk is we go up there as law enforcement, knock on the door, and ask if we have permission to go in. And we got permission to go in. The problem was we had too many agents surrounding the mobile home. So the judge felt that we were intimidating the ones that are inside the house.
Federal judge?
Federal judge.
His name?
Federal judge out of Corpus. So it was thrown out. So what happens in cases like that, the bad guys are going to know that I don't have to open the door. Okay? Well, every time we go to court, we're teaching these bad guys what to do next as to how to get away with situations. Just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, Mark.
Is that?
OTM, someone was asking about over 2,500 OTMs that will come across. Yes, ma'am.
Is that a more recent development with the judges ruling this way, or has this been going on for some time?
Ma'am, it varies. It depends on the judge.
Okay.
You know, those federal judges are appointed for life, so you really can't get them off the bench. Once you put them on there, they're on there.
Stuck with them.
Yes, ma'am.
Unless you get impeached.
Maybe. I don't know the procedures, yes.
On that previous slide where you showed the number of deaths in the brush, you really had a shoot up there in one particular year where I think there were 92. And I was curious as to what you think might have been attributed to.
That's going to be the one before that one, Mark.
Yeah, I'm tracking. It's slower than I am.
2012.
2012, yes, sir. What happened was back 2 years ago, I noticed that the influx was starting to increase, and that was because probably the federal government went up to Arizona and pretty much put a lot of assets into Arizona. And I'm talking about cameras, aircraft surveillance, all this other equipment that they use, plus manpower. So, and then the government in their wisdom, if I was to get caught in South Texas, they're going to ship me over to California and El Paso because they think it'll take them longer to come back across. Well, here they all come across because it's the easiest way to do it through the southern part of the United States. So when you see I think there was the one before that one, the dead bodies.
I think it was 2012 and 92.
Yeah, that was 129. And also that was the year that we had our temperature was running about 105, 110 for several months. And I think our highest was June, July, and I believe August. This year, we're down to, we're only at 82. In 2010, we had a wet year, believe it or not, in Brooks County. It was wet. So that helps them, okay, stay alive. 2011, the weather started changing. Of course, 2012, it went all the way up to 130. That's when we started getting guests from New York, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, and everyone else. But that was the primary reason.
The weather is the variable that we're looking at and only, or are there other variables?
It's only a variable, ma'am.
Okay.
It's only one variable out of many. Okay, Mark. Okay, juveniles, over 3,300 of them that have been caught there in Brooks County. And I'm talking about 15 years or younger, all the way down to maybe, yesterday we had a 6-year-old. Look at, on the Mexican side, it's only 807. On the LTMs, it's over 2,500. Yes?
Of that 2,500 OTM, what percentage of those are not from Central America?
Middle Eastern, mainly.
China.
Or anywhere else?
Nigerian, Iranian.
Well,
I'd say probably less than 10%.
yes, it's got to be. Right now, it's less than 10%, but there is an increase
Yeah.
currently, right now.
China.
There's an increase in that. They're just filtering in. We have had 13 to 14 undocumented persons that are actually backpacking maybe 50-pound duffel bags. So there's been over 12,000 pounds of marijuana seized in the brush alone. These are people that are walking with it. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm kind of curious about the employment agency for these people. What if the restaurant just contact this employment agency, whatever it is, and say, we need 5 people? Or how do they get placed? And then, is there any request that they have to speak a certain language? If people come from the Middle East and they don't speak English and they don't speak Spanish, how do they communicate in their job? Do they all have jobs?
I think to be more specific is the fact that we have almost 12 to 13 stash houses in FAO. And it's a small town. They probably think that it's probably Benny's uncle or nephew that's running these stash houses. So I'm guessing on their defense, they don't really filter that information out thinking that someone is going to find out about it because it's a small town. And if you tell one person, it's just going to like spread like wildfire. So that is one reason why I'm thinking that they're keeping some of that information from us. It took me a while to get them to trust me. I did 29 years with the state police, 18 of that in narcotics. I was doing all this before it even became what it is now. I met a lot of people in my old days and I loved it because that's the only time that I can actually lie and cheat. I mean, that was awesome, you know? I didn't have to account for anything, you know? So anyway, but I think that is the main key there, that it's not that they don't trust us, it's just that it's a family member down the line. Once they get into the family tree, boom, there's a family member involved in this issue. You know, I'll give you a good example. One case alone, another locals had 23 people in the house. By the end of the 4th or 5th day, they have accumulated $39,000. Okay? $39,000 that they got from these people that are being held. I think each of them paid, I don't know, $3,500, $4,000. That is currently in federal court also, and we're hoping that it stays in federal court. Yes, sir.
Houston is known nationally, sir, as one of the worst cities in America for the sexual exploitation of these young girls. And it's already known that there are several cartels that exist here in Harris County that are exploiting this traffic. Can you talk to that? Can you tell us why the federal government isn't doing more? Because we have a worthless sheriff. We all know that. Why isn't the federal government waging more war against this? The cartels are here, and I believe you know that.
Yes, I know that, sir. I've known it for a while, but honestly speaking, I can't answer that. I'll be very honest with you. I won't even touch it. Because I won't be able to get out of Harris County. But, and all kidding aside, no, sir, I won't be able to answer that. I think we can probably visit about it one-on-one, and I can tell you what I'm thinking, probably the same thing you're thinking. But I can't stand up there and say something that, in Chicago, they're talking.
Get audited.
Forever.
Yeah, there's audio right there too. So, bailouts, I don't know if y'all know what bailout is. It's a vehicle that carries like 15 to 20 people in there. We're averaging almost 3 bailouts a day. 3 a day. And out of those, they probably get like maybe 3 or 4 people. That's all they capture out of 20 to get away. So their percentage is pretty good. I think I'll put my money on them and getting through it next one.
What percentage of people get away that you don't apprehend, do you think? Don't have any way to
I would, it's a good majority. This is the 70 that I was talking about earlier. This happened in Brooks County. They're all in a U-Haul truck with only 2 bags of ice in there. They were heading to Houston. That's all they had was 2 bags of ice. There were 25-pound bags of ice, and there were 70 of them in that U-Haul truck.
70?
Y'all think they would have made it to Houston with that?
No.
No. And how about if they need to go to the restroom? What happens then? These are the conditions that they're willing to sacrifice themselves. And you see a lot of females. You see that? There's a lot of females there. There's a female standing right here, just talking like nothing. See, look at that group right there. That just flat out go and get another vehicle just like that.
Wonder we hear numbers coming out of Mexico about how many people are dying as a direct result of the cartels, and the numbers are phenomenal.
They're pretty high, aren't they? Yeah.
Are they just getting higher?
I would say yes, because they keep coming.
That's what I would say would be. Would you say that is the prime reason?
Yes, sir. Of course, their countries, they're so bad in crime and corruption that they have no future. They want to create one. Honestly, they don't. They don't have a future. Is my time up? No. Oh, okay. I heard a phone ring. Okay, maybe it's time for me to get off. Did you get one?
Do you guys, what's your relationship with the border watch, the civilians out there, they go out at night?
The Texas Border Volunteers?
Yeah.
I have a good relationship with the Texas Border Volunteers and Dr. Vickers. He's a good ally of the office.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
We had a couple of our folks there last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Did they see anything interesting?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It happens every night.
Night vision goggles?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Every night.
And I understand one of the coyotes killed a border agent that had, before the night vision goggles, they wanted to go. They now have them themselves so they can actually spot the law enforcement watching them.
Well, we're training them. We're teaching them what we do. That's why that happens. These are just illustrated. This down here, I don't know if y'all can notice now, but it's a pink bra. When the girl changes, that's the group up there. Those are the backpacks that are referred to as black ones. They're about 50 pounds. Each of those is 50 pounds. And those things are just carried just right off the river, and that's the way they got burlap sacks. They just put tape on them. And this is the trash that they leave the ranch right there at the bottom. So this is why we have the issues we have. It's just plastic containers all over the place, plus underwear and everything else. You name it, it's there. This is the same guy recording all of them sleeping in the house. Right there. You're going to see a guy there trying to move a hand. He just doesn't know where to place it. Right there, I don't think it's a guy in blue. He's going to try to okay, where can I lay my hand? And he's going to put it back. There it is right there. You don't know what to do with the hand. See that? That's how they sleep. That's a typical stash house right there. This is the same gentleman that recorded the train. This is dark. It's dark on purpose. He covered his phone. And what you hear, I guess you can't hear it. is that lady getting mad at them, telling them you can't leave the house, you can't go outside, you can't smoke, you can't drink. I'm gonna tell you what to do. And if you leave it, you're gonna get hurt. So she's controlling everything. Would this reach there? Would this reach there?
Yeah, if I can find the speaker.
She just turned into him. Pretty much scared him. And even though she's a female, she's got the muscle. The muscle is there to handle those and get out of hand.
She's a dragon lady.
Yes. Oh yeah, she's a dragon lady, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Why is this guy recording him? Is he placed there so he can give you all information? Or is he just doing this for his own benefit?
Yes, ma'am. He's just doing it for his own.
I just can't imagine that anyone would do that.
He took a big chance of doing it and not get caught.
We're in the process, where are we when we get to the house? Are we now in a destination like Houston? Is that what
This house was down in the valley.
So is this a depot or a place where they come and then they get on the train and travel, or how is
Once they get on the train, they get themselves up to the Mexican side of the Rio Grande, right? Well, the Rio Bravo is referred to. Once they come across, they're put in. Oh, I'm sorry. They get put in homes like this one, and they're held there. And they're going to stay there until they're ready to ship them up.
And they're using vehicles and
Yes.
big trucks?
Yes. So they'll use trucks, and then they use vans, they use whatever they can. So as I referred earlier, on the bailout, right, so sometimes we have assets down south. In other words, we have policemen or border patrol. And what they do, as soon as they see a policeman or a border patrol, they're gonna tear through the fence. And that landowner is gonna be pretty upset at us, because they kind of point the finger at us. They get frustrated, and I don't blame them. Those ranch owners have a lot of solid, very valuable animals out there, and so they go out there and they just destroy the property. So I picked up a gentleman 2 days ago when I was on my way back from Ocala, and he was from Guatemala, and he witnessed one of the brush guards or brush leaders of the coyote rape a young lady. Then he got mad, so he left and he wandered around for 5 days until he came up to the highway, and I took him in and he was telling me about it. So I said, well, you need to do a report. He goes, no, because he knows who I am and he knows who my family members are, so I'm just telling you this. I said, well, it's really not going to do any good, because how am I going to be able to find out, because this female hasn't surfaced yet. It's been a week now. So I haven't got no calls yet. I'm guessing if she gets detained, she'll come back and say, well, I got raped in Brooks County. And there's going to be no details, because as everyone, for some reason, is named Jesus. That's true. It's true. Jesus, meaning Jesus, right? Jesus. So they just can't identify him, and there's just no other identifiers, or a tattoo. Yeah. So, yes, sir.
Well, I know you're not getting the cooperation or the resources that you need from our federal government. Are you getting what you need from our Texas government?
We're getting some from the current Lieutenant Governor, Dewhurst.
Is he just helping you guys out when it's election time?
Well, he's kind of been helping us. He's been helping us. The dead bodies issues has been around for a while, so I can say he's helped us.
Well,
I can say that.
if you had your choice, you had the, if you were trying to resolve the issue that we have here, what would you do? What would you need from the state of Texas and from the United States in order to stop this? Stop in other words, I realize that these people have very terrible conditions where their homelands are. They're coming up here for some relief in that respect. But what would you recommend that we could do to stop them from coming up here?
Secure the border.
Well, I understand, but
Well,
that's easily said, but I'm specifically asking if you can, are at liberty to answer, what type of assets and strategy would you recommend to put a stop to this crap, excuse me?
Well, right now, sir, I'm only running with 4 deputies.
But if you were in a
Okay,
position...
so I would have to say that you almost have to put maybe, honestly speaking, maybe 20 or 30 people just to work the brush alone. It's specifically the brush, nothing else, alone. Because we know all the trails, there's over 300 trails that they have in Brooks County. And we're just talking about the people crossing, we still need the people that are actually backpacking. And then the rape cases. Besides those 20, then you need the other ones to answer the calls that are being held until we go out there and take care of a dead body. It'll probably take us about 4 to 5 hours to process.
Do you feel we need our military on the border?
We definitely, the problem with the military, and it's not a problem, will be the private landowners, because all that property is private. Will the landowners allow them to come in?
Allow,
The military to come in and set up in their property.
well, I thought the landowners, I thought they were being...
They'd be welcome.
No, I thought they're the victims of the people coming across.
They are, but I'm guessing they're looking at the liability behind it in case someone does get hurt or someone gets killed. As happened in, where they happened? Arizona? Where is that? It happened. In Brooks County alone, there's a case that's currently at the Texas Supreme Court here in San Antonio. I guess that's where the Texas Supreme Court is at, where there's a local person driving undocumented people through the ranch, traveling at a high rate of speed. He lost control and he killed all of them. Okay, at no fault to the rancher. He's having to spend money to defend his own property.
That's a frivolous lawsuit.
But I understand that, but you still have to defend yourself. I understand that, and I'm with you all.
Who's charging him?
Who's charging?
The damaged party, right?
Who's charging him?
There are lawyers all over the valley that will take that case and sue anybody.
Yeah.
Sue a landowner?
Yes, and it's happening. It's currently right now on the Texas Supreme Court. It's been reviewed.
What is the charge? Yeah, what is the charge?
I have no idea what the charge is. I can only, you can probably look it up. I know that it's happening, and it's a good friend of Dr. Vickers. We just had another one that died a month ago. He fell off the bed of a truck of a landowner, and he died right there. He broke his skull. And I can assure you that's coming. Yes.
Yes, but if the landowner does not grant the right of passage of a person, and the person is violating, he's trespassing.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
So that's defense. The guy has an automatic defense.
Well, I believe that everyone agreed with the landowner until it got to another court, higher court, and that judge ruled against the landowner, so now it ended up at the Supreme Court. It goes back to the judges. It goes back to whomever's sitting, listening to this case. And it goes back to those that get elected or appointed to sit on the courts. Yes, sir.
Once again, are these federal judges?
Yes.
Yes.
Are they federal judges?
Well, I believe these are still in state level. I don't think it's gone to federal court. I think it's in state level. It might end up at federal court. I don't know. I don't know any. I just know that it's in the Texas Supreme Court. It's frustrating, gentlemen. I've been in that area for almost 30 years. I've been a policeman for about 34 years, and out of the 34 years, I spent maybe 30 years there. And it's very frustrating because on this particular incident, I was working that day, and we were just going to intercept because we knew all the routes. We were being pretty calm about it and said, okay, we know the exit, so we'll just go wait for them, and that's what happened.
Would it be
Is there
fair?
any information about why this Texas judge would pursue this case? There has to be some
I haven't done no research on it, sir. I wouldn't be able to answer that. But I'm sure you can look it up and find it and see what kind of predicates they have.
Sir, in your opinion, you've been interviewing people that you have detained, and you've probably spoken to a lot of them. Do you think that if we regularize the status of everyone who is here out of status, here in the country illegally, is that going to stop the flow, increase the flow, or what do you think about that?
I think the flow will stay the same. It's not going to shut down at all. The flow will stay the same.
If you legalize, you're talking about this immigration reform bill, right? If it were to pass.
That's what I was talking about.
If you do that, if you pass that immigration reform bill, that border's going to be overrun.
Yeah.
We might as well just step aside.
I mean, get out of the way.
Right.
You just put a
Any
sign,
comments,
free candy. You know, I mean,
I don't believe.
Have you
they
found?
already have a sign up, free candy.
So, yes, ma'am, I'll entertain the last question here, and then I'll leave you all alone. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay. So you don't think that militarizing the border is feasible? Truly? Because that's the only way we're going to stop this. Or hire.
I think that's probably something way above my pay grade.
Okay. Get them out of Afghanistan and put them on the border.
Build a boat.
That's all I would have to say.
You can't put military troops in peace.
I got you back there, go ahead.
With protective bags, is it the significance of the fact they're 50-pound bags? If it's over 50 pounds, we actually make a legal case out of it, or if it's less, we let them go?
Actually, it's at the checkpoint itself, if it's under 250 pounds, they'll let it go.
What?
This is marijuana.
Okay, yes.
How much does the effectiveness of y'all's operation increase when you're getting timely and accurate information from the Texas Border Volunteers that are out in the brush and spotting these people?
Well, again, the fact that when there's only one guy working, it's kind of hard to even respond to anything. I do know that in visiting with doctors.
Maybe only one person would be able to respond. Is that what you're saying?
One person with against 20, that you might as well just stay back and then see who's getting left behind, who's the slowest runner. And get the slowest runner. You're not going to make an impact like that at all. Not with one person.
Sir, Israel has secured their border, and we're the richest nation on the face of the earth. If they can do it, why can't we?
No will.
Eisenhower secured the border, and what he did is he put people on boats or barges and sent them to Veracruz, and after they got seasick for several days, and we made a definite, effort to stop it, it was stopped to a trickle. It can be done, and the same agents, they're dead now probably, but a lot of them said we could be doing the same thing.
I would recommend you contact your local congressman and senator and discuss the issues with them. That's all I can say. Anything else with Brooks County, I'll be glad to. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm in the real estate business, and one of the things that I would like to know is, what rights do property owners have there as far as securing their property or protecting their property, as opposed to what most of us think might be your rights to secure your property or protect your property?
I think that probably would depend on what judge you're going to go face.
You mean after I get caught?
I think that's the best answer on that, sir.
Okay.
Part of the problem is these ranches have got to be humongous. And these fences that they try to take care of, it's almost impossible. I mean, I know there's not a lot of grass out there.
Well, if it's the rancher's property, can't they shoot these trespassers?
No.
Well, I mean, good grief, that's like asking.
Thank you so much. It's been
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
What a crowd. Love you all.
Thanks for
You're asking some really tough questions.
Hey, I got a friend of mine
You guys asked him some awfully tough questions.